Welcome to another episode of On Pause. My name is Karen. I'm your host, and today we have with us Shana Berkeley.
Yes.
And Shana is going to give us all things startup. Okay, she is the executive director.
Yep, of Corner to
Corner. Go ahead, tell us about where you are and what is your role at Corner to Corner.
Yay, guys! I'm so excited you're tuning in today. It's going to be the most fun. I don't know how long is it? 30 minutes, 45 an hour.
Yes.
The best fun part of your life. I am Shana Berkeley. I'm the executive director of Corner to Corner. We are a Nashville-based nonprofit. Really, our mission is to help all of our neighbors flourish. We do that through two programs. One is our kids program. We help kids fall in love with literacy through making their own movies. And then our most popular program is called the Academy, where we help underestimated entrepreneurs plan, start, and grow their own small businesses. So we have a lot of fun over what we do. Really, our heart is to be joyful, creative, and just bring excitement back into problem solving of social issues. And so I'm excited to be here today.
Oh, I love all of that. And I didn't know about the kids program.
Yeah.
I know off topic, but I didn't know about that until I was reading through everything. I thought that was fantastic. Is that new?
It's not. Do you count COVID years, right? That's the question. So we started the Academy, which is an entrepreneurship program in 2016. The kids program, long story short, our co-founder is a photographer. And so he always has a camera with him. A kid at McFerrin Park up the street from where we are was like, "Are you a YouTuber?" Now he was, almost 40, and he Googled, like, what's a YouTuber? And so he saw that when he was like, all the kids flocked to him. When he was trying to teach them how to read, they was avoiding him like the plague, right?
Oh, okay.
Which is a weird phrase now that we've, lived through the plague. But so he was like, well, I wonder if what I want them to know, literacy, and what they want to know, YouTube, can be married into a beautiful program. And so that program started late 2018, early 2019. Obviously 2020 we hit the Pandarosa, the pandemic, Covita, whatever you call her. Okay, she came in with the vintage. We worked with kids at schools. Well, obviously they weren't in school. And so we did a little thing here and there, but it really wasn't the full program, so it wasn't the full shebang. So long story short to say, it's been around for about 5 years. We've been really pushing it for about 2.5, 3.
I love that.
Yay.
I love that.
Thank you.
You have to meet people where they are.
Absolutely.
Like that's with business and clearly with children because
they are not interested.
Right,
okay?
not interested. Okay, so as we have heard, you are going to give us all the nuggets on starting and growing these businesses. So I know you practice law.
I did.
And now you're an executive director for a nonprofit.
I am.
How did that happen?
God is funny, okay? And he is expensive, all right? He's pretty expensive. So long story short, when I was in law school, I graduated from law school when I was 24. I started practicing when I was 25. But most of the people in my firm were at least in their early 30s, right? 33. And now, as somebody who is 33, I'm like, they were still young, but it felt like they were in just such a different place than me.
Right.
I was like, anybody want to go out to eat after work? And they're like, girl, I got a 2-year-old. Like, girl, me and my man. My man. I was like, okay.
Right.
So I didn't have community that I thought I would have after school. I had really focused on this goal of being a lawyer and got great grades, and I was on the dean's list, and I got best in class.
Oh, wow.
And I actually went into practicing law. And it was just like, I thought when I walked into the real world, I was going to find this thing. It didn't happen that way, at least for me. That may not be everybody's testimony. And so what I did find was I was the second person in my family. My sister and I were the first to go to school. I was the first one to have a doctorate degree. And I never knew lawyers, so I didn't know how lawyers dressed. So I dressed like me, okay? Girl had a purple suit on, baby. I was giving them red boots. I snake skin on a Tuesday. I was like, y'all can get it. I went to church, you know what I'm saying? I felt like this is how we dress. And at first they were like, what are you wearing? Like black, brown, gray. But then the more they got to know me, and the more I was just like, I don't understand what's happening here. Then it was more like, oh, what are you wearing? It was interest. It was intrigue. And then it became, look what I'm wearing, right? I kind of gave them permission to go and find the woman that they were before they sacrificed themselves on the altar of belonging to someone, being somebody's mom, being somebody's lawyer, being somebody's wife, being somebody's, right? So it would be women who had a sleeve of tattoos. You never know because they wear long sleeves, right? Or we used to ride motorcycles, or she was a cheerleader, and we used to be all these things before somebody told us, now we wear skirt suits. And I was the one like, I'm never wearing pantyhose, I'm sorry. I would wear pants to an interview. They'd be like, I need to wear a skirt. And I'm like, nah. Because one thing I know and two things for sure, I'm not putting on no tights, okay? I'm not on the motherboard, period. I'm not doing it. And so I was just like anti.
Yes.
And it wasn't to be a rebel for rebel's sake. I didn't know that there was a box to fit in. I was just like, I'm trying to understand what's happening here.
Right.
I was kind of in a different world. And so once they started coming to me and just kind of showing me what they bought, or they would send me pictures like, my husband's in the, we're close to a military base. He's in the military, like they have their military ball. These are some options. They would send me pictures and stuff. So I said, this could be a business, but didn't know what to do with it, because the thing that people think, which is a misnomer, first of all, if you have a doctorate degree or a professional degree, you think you'll be good at business. Girl, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. I'm a I fill in the blank. Girl, you know just as much as the next one know, because it's a different muscle that you're flexing to be a business owner. You know how to do a certain industry. You don't know how to do, frankly, all the industries. If you own a business, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a content creator, right? You do all the things, you're a jack of all trades, and hopefully at least a master of one. That you kind of just know enough to be dangerous. When you're focused on knowing the law, and especially in lawyers, you know one subsect of the law. I was a healthcare attorney. You know, you have defense attorneys, family attorneys. You know a little bit. And so it was like, I didn't know what to do with that, and I didn't know that I was interested. I saw on Facebook, and a lot of people, if they live in Nashville, probably heard this story, but Mignon Francois, the Cupcake Collection, is one of our, at Corner to Corner's earliest supporters, and an extremely successful national figure for just Black ownership and businesses. And she had an ad, and she said, I have $100 to sponsor the next person who watches this ad, wants to start a business, and they dial the number 615-498-4987. And something inside of me, that was a seed that I think my mom or somebody had planted a long time ago that was dormant, kind of just sprung up at the same time. And I was like, it could be a business. It could be something. Like somebody's teaching this thing. And as somebody who knows how to be a student, if lawyers don't know nothing else, they know how to learn. You know, we are learners, and that's part of the trade. And so I was like, I could take this class. I could learn how to make this fashion thing. I have spare time because I ain't got no friends. So I can make this work, and maybe I can make friends. So I text the number. I didn't get the scholarship because I was the second in line, not the first. But they did have one more seat in the class that they were trying to fill for the academy. They were like, we start on Tuesday. It's $100. And I was used to being not only a broke college student, but generally a broke person. Okay, I'm from the west side of Atlanta. We had just enough to do the thing, but not enough to have excess. But I was a lawyer now and take care of myself. I was like, oh, I got money. Okay, I can spare $100. That mindset has not fared well in my current life because I just buy the things. But generally at the time, it was helpful. Took the class, learned so much. Started the Fashion Chase, which is my fashion business. And then I was evangelizing. I told everybody, like, oh, you should do this. Oh, you're great at this. You know, I was able to see business giftings and then help them enroll in that class. In 2019, I became the director of the academy. Grew the academy from 40 people enrolled to 230 people enrolled in 3 years, 2 of those being COVID years.
Wow.
Moved everybody online, moved everybody back in person, did the whole thing, figured out how to make this a staple program in Nashville and be innovative and creative and autonomous and all the things that you want to be when you find yourself. And in 2022, I became the executive director of the nonprofit. So what that means is that I'm not only over one program, I'm over all the programs. So we have 3 programs total. I also am accountable to the board, funding, all the things that it takes, right? So it's not just front facing, oh, I get to do the fun stuff. It's also, I get to do the hard stuff, but also figure out who we want to be in the world. Like, what's the legacy? What's the purpose? So, yeah.
That is an amazing story.
Thank you.
So, do you still have the fashion business?
I have the fashion business, the Fashion Chase. I still have the law degree in case somebody try to kid. Okay, period. I ain't a killer, but don't test me. And I don't practice, but I dabble. Okay. And then I also, run Corner to Corner, which people don't see nonprofits as businesses. But not only do I teach entrepreneurship, so generally I should practice what I preach. But nonprofit is absolutely a business. I tell people all the time, that's a tax status. Nonprofit is a tax status. It means that I don't pay taxes. But instead of me not paying taxes, what I do is I have an audit. The IRS comes into my business somewhere between January and March, so my first quarter. They look at receipts. They look at my payroll. They make sure I'm not funneling funds. They make sure there's no pass-throughs, which is like, oh, I'm just going to take this money, pass it to corner to corner, so it's tax-free, and then give it to you. It's almost better to be a for-profit because they're very strict and rigid, as they should be. Because nonprofits don't belong to an individual. They belong to the community. They belong to the people that they're serving. And so it is their job and our job to make sure that there's integrity in the industry of being a nonprofit. But it's not a free-for-all and not hugs and love. It's paperwork. It's accounting. It's bookkeeping. It's budgets. It's boards. It's a business in a different form.
Okay, yeah, I never thought about nonprofit as a business.
Oh, yeah, it's an industry.
Because it says non-profit.
So that's a misnomer. I think a lot of northern people call them NGOs. That might be wrong if you're watching this and that's not right. But nonprofit, again, it's a tax status, but it's definitely a misnomer because in theory, we're making profit, we're making money, we have donors, and we rely on the generosity of our neighbors and grants and corporations. And so if you start, I tell people all the time, in any business, especially a nonprofit, if you're starting the year with zero, that's trash. Like, every year you're going from 0 to 100, 0 to 100. Think about how that would feel in your own life. If every year you starting from 0 and in December 31st you're like, woo, but I got to spend all this money till by January I can start at 0. That's not realistic, and that's not what happens. We should have money in the reserve. I have a staff of 15 people who's counting on me and my medication, not Medicaid, but my medical, dental, mental health, right? They counting on me to be able to pay some bills, right? Retirement, 401ks. This is a full job, and they need to be able to depend on their job to make a living and a life for their family. So I can't start over from 0. When they say a nonprofit, and I don't know if this is actually why they named it that way, but what the experience of that is that, at the end of the year we got an extra $500,000 bonuses for everybody.
Can't do that.
Taking my executive team to Tahiti just to chill. Now, can we go on a trip to go somewhere and learn more about a nonprofit? Because we're still a pretty small nonprofit comparatively to those in the nation. So can me and my staff go somewhere and learn about the biggest nonprofit in the United States and shadow their team? Absolutely. And can that be an expense? Absolutely. But can we just go because it's my birthday and I want to just chill with my girls and be on a company car? Absolutely not. And so we have different practices because the money, again, isn't ours. So we can't buy Teslas and G-Wagons without a reason. I'm trying to find a reason. Okay, wait till I find a reason for a G-Wagon, period. Quarter G-Wagon. Until then, we just can't do it because we feel like it. And so even if their nonprofits is bringing in money, like, Tesla bringing in money, but their money is designated for certain situations, communities, and the co-workers that they work with is not for them to go by Twitter and they can just steal shares to have some fun. No heat, no fire, right? But that's the difference. The IRS gonna be like, no ma'am, run me my taxes.
Right.
And you will have to deal with that, which is a different, issue altogether.
Thinking about your students that come through the program, what's the number one thing you see them struggle with?
Right. So just to give some color on what our program does, the Academy is, I call it the elementary school of entrepreneurship. So we help people who have a business dream and we turn it into a money-making reality. Most places in Nashville specifically only want to work with you either if you're high growth, right? So if you want to be the next Uber, if you work in healthcare, music, or if you're already making about $250 and they want to help you grow to that $1 million mark. Also, that's, irrespective of your race, gender, whatever. For us, particularly, we serve Black Nashvillians. You don't have to be Black. If you're not Black, are we gonna be like, no, right? But our messaging and our marketing are to our Black neighbors, and we're located in Black communities. So if you want to come, but you're gonna come to North Nashville, okay? Period. If you scared, then don't come up over here.
Right.
But so that's kind of a difference.
Yeah.
For us, what they're struggling with is a number of things. First, Instagram can make you think that, and they're not wrong, they're just more upstream. They can make you think LLC gonna save your life. You need to be selling 1,000 this and 1,000 that. Your Instagram need to have 10,000 followers. Like, you're not popping if you're not hitting these metrics. And that's not true. First of all, what we need to do is define success for ourselves.
Yes.
I have people who like, Shana, I want to be a multi-million-dollar company. Cool. Let's get on that train. But I want you to know what you're signing up for. Don't play with me. Stay with me. Okay? Because if that's what you're trying to do, it's going to take a lot out of you. I also have somebody who's like, hey, listen, I bake cakes. I want to put my granddaughter in ballet and my grandson in football. That's about $300 a month. We sit down and do it. $300 a month. That's all. I'm retired on a fixed income, and I want my kids to have that exposure. That's great. That's a whole different ballgame. She can sell one cake a weekend. Mm-hmm. She can make her market for a month. $multi-million, you need to be having, money in your sleep, quote unquote, which means you need to have some sort of automation that things can happen even when you're not awake. You're not technically selling in your sleep, but you're having these kinds of automations. And so the first thing is, I wouldn't say mindset, like in the sense of don't believe they can do it, but realistic about where they are in their life. If you just had a baby a month ago, baby, listen, you can do all things through Christ, but you can't do it all now. Right. So what can we do now? While you're still breastfeeding and having to figure out what your life is and in transitions. I think the second thing is money. Mm-hmm. We have, and I say we, myself as well, even though I run a nonprofit, I can separate how I run those books from how I run my personal budget. For lots of reasons. One is because I have a board and staff and people around me. But if you're kind of in it by yourself, usually your business finances mirror your personal finances. Mm. So you may have to get a hold on your personal finances, get a hold on your spending. It's not because you don't have it or because you're in debt or all these other derogatory terms. It's that usually it mirrors. So right now you should have more personal money than business money. But those things need to mirror and know how to allocate those properly. Getting a business bank account and things of that nature. I know that's a little in the weeds. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is marketing. People have hot or cold feelings about marketing or really finite definitions of what marketing is and what it isn't. And so it is different for everybody. Some people, particularly like if you're a fashion designer, you can put pictures up as a reel and get a lot of play. If you are a caterer, a still picture of the quesadilla not gonna do it. It's not it. You have to be interactive. You have to cook. Doesn't mean you have to dance. Doesn't mean you have to have a transition. Doesn't mean you have to just be next level. No, there's a place to grow from that. Mm-hmm. But people are just not as fluid as I want them to be. Mm-hmm. And then giving themselves grace. Like you don't need an $800 camera all life. You just thought it yesterday. Yeah. Prove to yourself that you can have some consistency on your cell phone before you then buy an $800 camera and want to do the whole 9 and you got 9 people watching. And by the way, 9 people is fantastic. Okay, 9 people is fantastic because if 9 people came up to you and was like, I listened to your podcast, I love it. Right. You would feel like you was Beyonce, like, girl, yes, play with your mama because I'm the queen over here. Right. But when you see 9 people, you feel like you're a failure. And I'm like, no. If 100 people came to see you do something, you would feel overwhelmed by the amount of care. If you had 100 kids, the amount of taking care of those kids, you would be like, whoa. Right. But because you have 100 followers, you feel like they don't matter. No, you should be taking care of them. If you got 100 people, you know their names. Oh my God, girl, thank you for liking this. I saw you like the last one. I follow you too. Like, come on. Because that 100 can go to 100,000 overnight. But if you don't steward it well, it's not going to matter.
Girl, look at you.
I'm trying. I'm getting these people together because corner need a G-Wagon.
Because they always talk about how you steward your money, and when you steward it well, then God gives you more. So I guess it's the same thing about everything. If you steward it well and you take care of it, I'm glad you said that. And
I can't promise. I tell my students all the time, I can't promise that it'll grow. Right, because that's the market. If they want it, they want it. They don't. Things that wasn't popping in the pandemic, baby. If you made hand sanitizer, you was like little G God, right? It was like hand sanitizer, But who would have thought that? Right. And I don't even know if thunk is the right word, but we don't say it because I say it. In 2019, you can make a couple hundred. Now it's like you rolling in the dough. You can't sleep. You make a hand sanitizer. And so it may very well pop when the market says that. But if it doesn't, are you doing the best by the people who want it? Or especially if you enter a really niche, if you're really into like a certain plant, or if you're really into a certain lifestyle, or even back, you know, a couple years ago, doulas were very niche. Now they're getting more popular as we talk about maternal mortality, and my doulas who graduated from my program are becoming a high demand. But at the time, I really had to level set and was like, hey, for most people, doulas feel very woo-woo. We don't know what to do with that. Now we have more education, and their job was to educate. I'm like, you can't just go and say, I help people birth babies. Say more.
Right.
Educate on the importance of doulas. Tell them, do you work with their medical staff? Are you more holistic? Do you do that if they only want a home birth? Can you also come to here? It's so much information that you have to give people if you have a specific niche or market. And the fact that we enter anything, including fashion, right, including braids, including the things that feel so commonplace, that we enter them with a level of feeling like everybody know everything, we miss an opportunity for a newer market. And remember that it's not just your peers. There are kids graduating from high school. There are people moving from different countries. There's always a subset of people who don't know, who can be, you know, open to what you do.
Awesome. Good. So segueing into after they leave, what mistakes are you seeing they make after? So I've graduated from corner to corner. How long is the program?
So the program is 10 weeks, but we do have a alumni program that's about 2 years.
Okay. So I've left the program. I'm doing good. What are the mistakes that you see that people start to make once the business starts to grow?
They don't keep consistency. The beautiful thing about school, and why school is so long, and why it's such a transition after school, is that you become accustomed to a rhythm. You planning your life around school. Right? School is a part of your life. It's not separate and apart. But when a lot of people, when they graduate from this, because we meet once a week from 6 to 8:30. If you know, not only I'm in class this long, but I got homework. That when I get there, that's going to be expected I'm done. You giving yourself 2 or 3 hours of focus time, even if it's in spurts, to focus on your business, whether you know it or not. When you don't have facilitators or teachers kind of like, hey girl, what you doing? You say, oh, I'm going to do this at 6 o'clock, but then your baby come in and she hungry, so now you're going to go over here because you haven't planned for her. You planned for her to be hungry when you was going to class. Right. But now you done forgot to say I got to eat. So now you in a drive-thru and cookout line is long and you go home at night girl, you're tired, and your best friend calling you with the tea, and because you're not busy, you're available. No, you're not available. And these are things, even with my coworkers and staff members, I say them all the time, like we do at our organization block time. Where on your calendar, there should be at least once a week, 3 hours that you're unavailable to everybody except me. The reason why I say except me, not because I'm, not because I'm special, even though I am, but sometimes as an executive director, I need you to trump what you're doing, you know what I'm saying, for other things. But for your coworkers, you're unavailable. Why? Because I need you to have focused time thinking about what you're supposed to be doing, and then I need you to be able to effectively implement what you're actually doing. And if you don't think about it beforehand, you're figuring it out and doing it at the same time, and that doesn't create efficiency or excellence. And so those kind of things, not having space to work on your business. And then if you get to a place where you're really growing, not knowing how to onboard somebody else, that you can get help. Because you need to be able to duplicate yourself in certain ways and then delegate things to other people in other ways.
I think that's a good one and very important. That is sometimes hard to do when you're the one that's been in it, you're the solopreneur, you've been working on it, and you know how to do the marketing, you know how to do the sales, you know how to talk to the customers, and then to let go and say, okay, well, I'm going to now let you do it. It's very hard.
It is hard.
It's definitely
but do it but start with the things you don't like to do. Right. You should know the things you don't like to do. That's what you hire for first, because it's easy to get rid of the stuff you don't want to do.
True.
And then when you see that they're competent and you need to start letting go of certain things, keep the things you do like to do. An example is I love to do TikToks. I'm a big TikToker. And I have consultants, I have executive coaches, I have, whatever. They're all like, it's a waste of your time. The time is money. And I'm like, but I like it.
Yes. And
if we strip everything that I like on the altar of efficiency, I'm no longer going to like my job.
Yes.
And then I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for a good time and a long time on this earth, so I'm not interested unless the Lord calls me to do something that I don't enjoy. So you have to hold on to the things that you like. You have to know the things that you're lukewarm about and be okay that that's going to change. I used to be fine with emails. When I became executive director, I get 1,000 a day. I'm overwhelmed by them and they stifle my creativity, and so I need to hire an assistant whose job is emails, not because I'm too good for them, but because I'm not my best self doing them. Doesn't mean I'm never gonna look at it, I'm never gonna do it again, I'm unreachable. call me, text me. I'm very reachable, but that just makes me feel like stuck when I have to sit down and look at a computer versus texting and calling on the go. Know yourself enough to know, where you feel like you're giving life and where life is being drained. Sometimes you have to do it. I have to do the budget. Nobody can do it but me. Ain't no way around it. But I found ways to make it exciting, fun, or at least where I feel like I know what I'm doing so I can do it and then be done with it.
Oh, so good.
I appreciate it.
I'm telling you. So I'm going to we got to do a card.
Okay.
So let me see. Productivity. Okay. So what tips or resources do you suggest for entrepreneurs to help them stay focused and productive?
I think the time blocking thing that we talked about really helps with productivity. And it's interesting. It depends on who's asking me and where they are in the entrepreneur journey. Because our nonprofit started from, it was 2 people who worked there when I first started to 15 in 3 years. Wow. So we have grown immensely, and what productivity looks like now for a big staff and a small staff is different. So let's just take if you're just starting off. You're listening to this podcast, you're like, yes, have a business, have an idea, I'm just starting off. What am I doing? People need to know you're unavailable. They don't need to know why, because if they start thinking it's for your little business, they may not put it as high a priority as you do. But let's say, you work 9 to 5 and you have a child. So Monday through Friday is from 7 to 7. Mom, I'm really it's so much going on. It's not that I'm ignoring you. Mama, call me at 7:30. Right? She don't need to know exactly what you're doing, but you do. You need to say, okay, I'll get off at 5. I'll get my child at 6. I want to actually spend some time with my child. Right? I put my baby to bed at 6:45. 6:45 to 7. I'm doing 15 minutes of something. Every week it might just be one task that I'm doing 15 minutes a day till that task is completed, and then I can be available to other people. But if you have to just create those boundaries around what you're doing and then focus on yourself. And focus on that business. It don't have to be a lot, but it has to be quality. I think that's the second thing is figure out what quality means to you. We underestimate how much we can get done in a year, but we overestimate how much we can get done in a week. So you may think, oh my God, I got this to-do list. I'm going to do all this week. And when you don't do it, you feel defeated instead of saying, these are the things I want to do this. Yeah.
Because I think back to my to-do list for the week. Yeah. It's long. But the goals for the year is maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. And you can get those 3 done. Yeah. And you can look up and do more things. Oh, I thought I was working this. Now I got this award. Yeah. I went to this place. You can get a lot done. But if you are chained to a weekly to-do list, you will feel defeated every time.
That you don't. And look, sometimes I'll go in. I just did that. I'm going to write it in my to-do list so I can check it off. Period. Some gotta get checked out today. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Or right. Another thing that we do, at Corner to Corner with our students is we basically help them make a business plan. It's called the Lean Canvas Model, visual business plan. But instead of writing it on the actual paper, we write it on sticky notes. Because in our minds, specifically if you write in pen or marker, but generally if you write anything down on a finite piece of paper, it feels finite. If you write it on a sticky note, our mind thinks it is subject to change. There are things in your life that are subject to change. So writing your to-do list on a sticky note, maybe writing 3 on this note, 3 on this note, 3 on this note. I want to get all 9 of these done on Monday, but if I get these 3 done, I can change this one to Tuesday. And our minds will feel like, that's fine. If you write it on a piece of paper and pen and you don't get it done, it becomes anxiety because your mind has remembered it's a finite thing that was supposed to be a part of your day or your life. And so just kind of tricking our body and our minds on what you're doing, moving around or instead of rewarding yourself with something, okay, when I finish this, I'm going to get a piece of chocolate. Do it while you are doing your to-do list because then your mind creates these connections to enjoyment or dopamine while you're doing the thing you don't like to do, while you're doing the emails or things like that. So don't tell your trainer I'm taking no candy, but listen, sir. Okay, we got to make something work here. And so just small things where you're tricking your mind to just making life more enjoyable. And so you can have a full day and a full schedule. And to you, it's not a big deal. Other people are like, girl, I'm tired. Just listen to you. But to you, it's like, okay, I'm moving around. I'm doing a podcast really late because I really like chatting. I'm doing my emails midday because I feel kind of energized. I'm doing my phone calls early in the morning because, it's kind of waking my brain up. You got to shift them things around to work for you. Now, that's a luxury that business owners may have that, people who work traditional jobs may not have. But they can figure out small tweaks.
Girl, I'm still stuck on this sticky note thing.
Yeah, the sticky note thing is real. The theory of sticky noses is real.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home. Well, maybe I won't, but I will. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Just try. Let me know if
see how that goes.
Less, and it's not saying it's a perfect solution, but it should add less anxiety.
Yeah, because I do feel like, okay, well, if I didn't get this done, I can move this over to Tuesday if I didn't get it done on Monday. But that to-do list that I look at and I'm like, oh, I didn't. 5 of them things that get done.
Because you can't move them. It feels like they stuck in Monday, but I'm in Tuesday, and now, you know, or you got to erase it, and now I don't look good. But if you just like, you know, it just feels like it's moving. It's a part of my life. We all moving together. That's a good one. Oh, I'm nervous.
So I get these questions or card out. So first, as I get our cards ready.
Okay.
What's next for Shana?
Or
corner, whichever you feel.
Yeah, but right now, another thing I tell people all the time, I've been executive director for about 10 months, 9-10 months. And so people start new things and they don't give themselves enough time to grow into it. And so for example, my business, Fashion Chase, it's kind of on automation. I still have clients, but I can't go all in that and go all in this and just everything has a season. So right now, I'm Shana Corner to Corners dedicated executive director, and when I kind of feel like that's part of my DNA and I plan to shift back some creativity and attention to the Fashion Chase. But what's next for Corner to Corner is our goal, and the data supports that Nashville can support 10,000 Black-owned businesses in our marketplace. And I believe that we have a really high attention to high net worth businesses. But when that pendulum has shifted so far, we miss what is the underbelly of the American economy, which is small business ownership. You can't go to a store that's owned by a random person or a family that's been in the neighborhood anymore because of the costs and the things of that nature. And so I don't want our kids, I don't have any kids, but when I have some, I don't want them to grow up and their only choices are chains and big franchises. I want them to be able to see themselves, see their neighbors, see their community, and it not have to be a monumental thing, but it matters in their day-to-day life. So I want to help 10,000 Black entrepreneurs plan, start, and grow their own small businesses. We have almost 900 graduates from our program in the last few years. So again, you underestimate what you can do. Since 2019, we've had 500 and some change graduate in 3 years. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to tell more people about it.
Wow.
And so my goal every week was like, go to one pop-up shop, go to one cookout, go to one church thing, find one person to talk to. And that one snowballed because of word of mouth and social media and things like that. Yeah, so that's my goal, to just help Black folks start businesses, Shana.
Okay.
And nonprofits. As a nonprofit owner. It's not an easy thing. Again, it's an industry that you have to be educated about. It's not like, I know how to cook, I want to help people eat. That's nice, but that's not the totality of the experience. And so I want to make sure they have full knowledge about it.
We might need to just get you back and let's talk
about nonprofits.
Nonprofits.
Yes, let's do it.
And break the stigma of you gotta be broke if you have a nonprofit.
Honey, she's an expensive gal. Okay.
One of my clients though, in Washington D.C., Sound Exchange, it's a music company, and it's a nonprofit, and they definitely not broke.
No, so being broke is overrated. Who want to be broke? Why would you think I want to be broke? Ooh, listen, I feel like my niece. I'm gonna pull it from the back.
Okay, you got one?
I got one.
Read it.
All right. Describe an experience that made you realize you were on the wrong path. Oh Lord. I'm describing a therapy experience, but I will tell my therapist now. This is a good question. I want to answer quickly because I know we are pressed for time, but maybe I'll just talk about work, how I knew that it was time for me to transition out of law. For me, I'm a pretty even-keeled person. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I'm not, I'm not. If it's not hard for me to do, I don't mind doing it. Everybody started getting on my nerves. Everybody, the janitor was on my nerves. I'm like, sir, why you knock on my door so hard? Right? Like, it was like everything. I was like, why you so slow? And so I knew that I was like, I'm not meant to be unhappy. And it's not their fault. If you're in a situation where everybody getting on your nerves and you know intellectually it's not their fault, but it's you, then there may be a shaking. And so that's when I knew, like, all right, I can keep down this path, and I, in my own humanity, can be a good lawyer. I may not be great, but I can be good, right? Because I can read, I can understand, I can regurgitate. I can be okay. But the Lord is telling me that this road for him has ended. I can keep walking it, but he done with it. I'm either going to stay with the money team, right? I'm going to go where the Lord is going to be, and I'm going to have to make some life changes in order to be aligned with him, or I'm going to keep walking this path. But I knew the path had ended for God when everybody got on my nerves. and everything was annoying to me. And I'm just not that kind of person. Some people are just easily annoyed. I'm really not. And so I was like confused about how I got there. And I was like, all right, he's done with this. So I was like, well, I'm gonna see what he gonna do. I'm gonna keep this law in my back pocket in case he doing too much, okay? Because trust me, I wasn't built to be Job. I am not your strongest soldier. Play nice, talk nice to me, okay? And thank the Lord that he acquiesced at least now.
Yes.
But, you know, looking back on this, y'all may be like, ooh, he came for the kid. But right now, me and him on good terms.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
I am so happy that you came and talked to me today. I really appreciate it. So we will share all your information in the show notes about Corner to Corner, your own brand as well.
The Fashion Chase.
Yes, we'll make sure we share all of your information. So again, thank you guys for joining us for another episode. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to check the show notes to learn more about connecting with our guests. Also, if you haven't done so already, join our Bold in Business community at boldinbusiness.co.